So do yourself a favor, check out the Carlisle Cult Cinema Club, and don't forget not just to rate it, but also to subscribe on YouTube or Facebook.
So, right. Welcome to the Carlisle Cult Cinema Club presents Vernon Wells with 327 IMDb credits to his name, 257 as an actor, Mad Max 2, Weird Science, Inner Space, amongst others, 38 as yourself, Talking Head, etc. Thanks tos, 24 as a producer, 8 miscellaneous, including second new unit director and as a writer. Welcome to the show, the man, the myth, the legend, Vernon Wells.
Thank you, sir. I love that. Good God, I didn't know I'd done all that. You make me feel old now.
Well, I like to go through your whole career. I've only picked some kind of certain kind of films that you've done, some of your more notable ones, right up
Well,
to.
there's a couple, well, there's probably about four that are going to go on that list, but I was in, I went up to Washington State at the weekend. They were doing the world premiere of The Crow, which is a film I did, finished it just after Christmas.
All right.
And it's about to get its world release in about 3 or 4 weeks, I think. And
Oh,
so they
excellent. Is
invited
that
me to
another?
come up. Sorry?
Is that another telling of the comic book, The Crow?
Yeah, yeah. It's actually a fan-based film.
All
You
right.
can't use The Crow because it's, the books and all that stuff. But it's called Days of Sodom, a Crow fan film, and it's absolutely stunning to watch. It's just wonderful. People are raving about it. We had a 170 odd people in the audience Saturday night, and they're just raving about it. They just love it. I had a couple of problems with it, but then again, I'm an actor. I always have problems. Um, but apart from that, it was really good, And Virginia is kind of a interesting place to go.
Yeah. Oh, well, sounds like it'll be a good watch. I'll have to look out for it when it gets
Yeah,
a release somewhere.
I believe on the 28th of this month, they're doing a one-time screening on online. I'm not sure which channel's doing it, but it's
Right.
one of the big ones.
Yeah.
They're doing a one-time screening that day, the last day of the month.
Right. Right. Oh,
That's
well.
for
Um,
that's for whatever it's called over here when they all go around looking like gargoyles and shit, you know.
Halloween. Yeah,
Uh,
Halloween and all that kind of
Halloween, yeah,
malarkey.
it's for
That's it.
Halloween.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, right. So, how did you go from working in a quarry to being an actor?
Um, Insanity.
Well,
Um, um, yeah, I'm not really sure. I grew up with my grandfather. My mother divorced my birth father when I was 18 months old, and so as I got older, I went up to live with my grandparents up in the country, and that was like where I got all of my background on what I was doing, what I wasn't doing. But I mean, I learned to drive everything you could drive, and
yeah,
shoot everything you could shoot. It was just part of living on a farm,
yeah,
working with the animals and things. Um, then I went back because after I finished my primary school, I went back down to Melbourne because I was up in the country. I went back down to Melbourne and stayed with my mother and attended university. And when I finished that, I had a degree in electrical engineering, which I've never used, but I got it done. And then I went back to the country to be with my grandfather and help him with his stuff. And the one of the things that the family had was a quarry for bluestone, and bluestone is a very, very hard stone. It's you see it on a lot of roads. It is blue, And it was we had a quarry, and we would mine the bluestone, and then that would be taken to the mill and crushed, and then delivered to wherever it had to go. So that was one of the cuts. And I love driving, especially trucks. So I became a truck driver in a bloody big 70-ton behemoth that had no brakes most of the time, coming up and down the mountain. It was kind of a terrifying experience for a kid. But I did that, and after quite a while, I went back to stay with my mother. My grandfather got quite sick and went into hospital, and he went into a hospital down in Melbourne. My grandmother passed away a few years earlier, and so I went back to stay with my mother. And my mother was quite a successful songwriter. And she'd had quite a few songs done by a gentleman called Slim Dusty and another lady whose name I can't remember, who were country and western singers in Australia.
Right.
And I kind of had that gene somewhere in my body, because I love music and I love the entertainment side of it. So I started working with a band as a vocalist, and it went from there. I went in 2 or 3 different bands, working, and then I got hurt in a car accident and couldn't be with the band because standing on stage and moving around was extremely painful. So I had to figure out something else. So a friend of mine said, "Look, I know this lady who casts commercials, and you're big and ugly, and you'd probably be perfect for it." So I went along to see this lady with no, the last thing in my mind, little country boy was standing in front of a camera and being all prissy as a model. But she took me on. She said, "Oh yeah, you're perfect. There's this whole lot of commercials coming where they're riding horses and driving cars and things, and it's all across Asia and here. It's 7 commercials for a new brand of cigarettes called Braddock. You'd be perfect for it, so I'll put you up for it." And would you believe I got it? So I went off doing what I love most, riding horses, and doing all that other thing. When I came back, she said, "There's a television show that's just starting, and they're looking for someone like you. They want you to come in and see them." And I was like, "You're kidding, right?" And she said, "No." I said, "I don't want to be on television." Bloody hell, it was hard enough being doing these commercials. Luckily, and it didn't have to say anything. I was just like the front. But lo and behold, I got into this dumbass television show, and I was right. It was set remember when England came over to Australia and colonized Australia? It was all horses. Everybody rode horses. So I was playing the assistant to a very big time English actor, John. I can't think of his surname, but John was the lead. Sorry?
John Hurt?
Not John Hurst, no. He's still in Australia. He stayed in Australia. He never left.
Oh, right.
He
Okay.
moved to Australia. But he was the lead, and I became like his right-hand man. I never said anything. I was just there, and I got to ride the horse all the time and do all this other stuff, And I thought, this is pretty good. I'm getting paid to ride horses. Damn, I'll do this. And it just it's one of those things where you fight like hell not to do it.
Mm.
But no matter what you do, you end up in front of a camera. And I always remember the first acting gig I got was for the ABC. And I was just one of like 20 people in this scene. And the director needed someone to say something, like one line. And he's looking and he went, you. And I'm looking around. He said, "No, you, ugly, get up here." So I walked up to the front. He said, "I want you to say this when the star comes in. I want you to say these words." It was like one line. And I went, "Uh-huh." And then he turned his back on me and he started directing camera and stuff, getting everything set up. So I just vanished back through the crowd to the back where I'd been. And they started the scene. They said, action. And I went, no, 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 directly. Cut, looking for me. He went, come here. They did it 3 times and I refused to stand in front of the camera. So they got someone else to do it. That was my first acting job. And for some strange reason, I love being behind the camera. I love being involved with the direction, with saying, just fascinated the hell out of me.
Yeah.
And so I formed a production company for commercials with a couple of friends of mine. And it was called PUB. PUB. Philip Usually Blunders. Because Philip was my partner and he had a habit of putting his finger in the wrong place a lot. So it was PUB. I was directing commercials and, loved it. Was just out of control. It was my favorite thing in the world. But unfortunately, a very famous director, George Miller, not George Miller the movie, George Miller the commercial. And George saw me one day doing something and he hired me to do a commercial he was doing. And from that, he would hire me on everything like I would. And then finally, he asked me if I wanted to work for his company. And so I still had my company, but I was working in his. And so I was doing behind the scenes, setting everything up, and then I would be doing stuff in the commercial itself. And then I graduated from that to directing for him. And he was big time, believe me. And I was as happy as a clam. This was my life. I was just so, so happy. And the Australian, one of the theatre companies tried to get me to do a stage play. And I went, 2 words. You're not going to like either one of them. And they were like, persistent. And I actually left Australia to get away from it. I became the director of being fun, the fun director on the ship, for the kids.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was fun. I enjoyed that. Unfortunately, I also had a really bad problem with having fun with all the women. And eventually it got me into trouble and I got asked never to return. So I was back in Australia and they still wanted me to be involved in this play that they had approached me with, which was the reason I had left. And it was called Hosanna by Michel Tremblay. 2-hander, 2 people only in the play. And it was about a transvestite and her boyfriend. And the minute the word transvest, I went, bye. And that's why I left Australia. There was no way I was doing a movie where I was playing a gay guy. And when I got back, they were still there. It was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. And so they just kept coming. And eventually I went home to my parents' place up in the country. And I was talking to my brother. And I told him what was going on. He said, isn't that what you do? And I said, well, yeah, I do that and I direct and everything. He said, so what? Just because your little gay self is all upset, you don't want to go and do it. And I went, excuse me? He said, you got to be gay, son. You're an actor, for God's sake. And I went, really? I have big news for you. And so he kind of, in his own way, talked me into it. And that is, kind of long story short, that is my career where it started. I did the play.
Yeah.
It became a sensation. It just packed houses. It was just amazing. And what they did was on a Friday night, once every 3 weeks, they would do a 12 o'clock screening. Well, no, not screening, but do it. Yeah. But all the people in the business in other plays that wanted to see it. We did that in Australia, like all the other plays did the same thing. So if you wanted to see something that was playing, you would go to the 12 o'clock Friday night showing, when they did it. And George Miller's, the one from Road Warrior, George Miller's girlfriend, Sandy Gore, came to the thing. And she rang George after it finished. This is like 2 o'clock in the morning. She rang him and she said, "I've got Wes." And, George, in a very sleepy voice, said, "Congratulations," and hung up. And the next morning, she talked to him again, and she said, "I was just excited, And he said, "All right, who is he? What is it?" And, because I was looking for the actor apparently. And she said, "You wouldn't know him. He's nobody in reality. He's just starting and he's doing, but he just, you got to come." And she said something that George used to repeat to me, and I used to go, "I hate you, Mr. Miller." And she said to him, he said, "So what makes you think he would be good for Wes?" And she said, "He's doing a stage play where within the first 5 minutes of being on stage, he's naked." And she said, "He's one of those actors that when you look at him, you can't take your eyes off it. I mean, off him." And George would always say that to me. He would go, "So I believe you're an actor because people like to look at it." And I went, "No, George, they used to look at me." So that started my career. I went to Sydney. I didn't want to do Road Warrior. I'll tell you the truth. I was terrified of doing it. But Mr. Miller, God bless his little cotton socks, has this thing about when he gets his mindset on something, I serious to God, you could bring in 25 burly boys with guns and he would still say he's doing it. He just won't change his mind. So every time I said no, he just ignored me. And I had to go up and do a fitting for my costume and everything to Sydney. And I said to my agent, "I'm not doing the film." And she said, "Yeah, they're paying you to come up. Just go up and do it. They'll probably get someone else your size." I'm a dumbass. I believed her. So I went up and they shaved my head. They put me in the costume. They did all this stuff. And every time I had to go and show George, I go, "I'm not doing it, George." And he go, "Turn around. Yeah, we're going to have to cover your ass." And it was like this whole big thing. And finally, I just gave up. I just went, "Fine, I'll do the bloody film. It's the only way I'm going to get any sleep." And that was where it started. And I had an insane experience doing the film. I was terrified 90% of the time. And George and the boy, Mel, were just the most unbelievable human beings. Mel, I remember once I was on set and I was just standing there glazed eyed, just staring into nothing, trying to figure out what the hell I was going to do. And Mel came up, put his arm around my shoulder, and he went, "What's the matter, sport?" And I went, "Oh, I'm just lost, man. I just can't figure out what I'm going to do." And he went, "Huh. Well, I got some advice for you." And I said, "Please." And he said, "Just a bloody movie." And he walked off. And I went, "Oh shit, he's right." Like I was taking it all way too seriously. And that's where I got that opinion. I just don't take it seriously. Acting,
Yeah.
not act. I take acting extraordinarily seriously, but I don't take the thing seriously.
Yeah.
It's just fun. Enjoy it. Have a lot of fun doing it. And it sort of works 300 odd films later. And that's where it started. I did that. I did Road Warrior. And I think like about 7 months later, they contacted me from America, wanted me to come to America to do Weird Science. And I said no 3 times. And 3 times they upped my wages. And they thought I was negotiating. And I was saying, no, I don't want to do it. I didn't realize that Americans negotiate like that. So I got brought to America and did that. I went back home. I got brought back to do Commando. I went back home. I got brought back. Then I said, "You know what? I'm going to move to America. This is ridiculous. 12-hour plane flights are driving me insane." And that's where it started. So there, you've had my biology and criminology, everything, all
just
there
about.
in
You've just
7
about
minutes.
answered my first few questions. You also did a lot of your own stunts on Mad Max, I believe.
Yeah, George wanted me to be who I am.
Yeah.
And he said, that's how the character will work, is because you have an innocence about you that defies who you are. And he said, that's why I hired you, because you have that thing. And then the minute you go into your character, you're the other side of that. You're the most evil looking, deadly human being possible. And he said, that is what the character is. And he said, what you've got to do is balance both sides of it. And it was a great experience for me because he let me have so much rope. It was just unbelievable. For somebody who'd never done, really, I'd done a couple of little things on television, walk-ons and shit like that. But for someone that had never really, well, I'd never done a film that size and been one of the major people in it, for God's sake.
Yeah.
And it worked simply because I always went to my calm side. I walked away from the anguish and the kill them to that. And so it worked. If you watch the film, there's those moments of where I am human.
Yeah.
Then there's those moments of where I would kill you if you stood in front of me. And that was the way he wanted the character. And he made it work. And it worked amazingly well. I mean, good God, it scared the shit out of me when I saw the film.
Oh, I mean, I saw that film when I was about 8-year-old. At birthday party on a pirate video. My dad brought it in and we sat and watched it. A load of 8-year-old kids, and just loving it. And yeah, absolutely. And you were obviously Wes is one of the standout characters in the film.
He was, as I said, he was just George and Mel and a couple of other people on the crew. They held my hand, because I was terrified of what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. It was that simple. Let's be serious. My God. But strangely enough, my grandfather had brought me up with this innate ability to look at something and figure a way out of it. And that's what the acting is. You could look at something and go, okay, this is where the character's got to go, but he's also got to end up here. So what's going to happen between here and here? That is what makes the character. And I had that innate ability, which I really didn't realize at that stage because I'd been using it in my life. But now suddenly I was using it as an actor, that I could look at the problem and go, well, shit, this is what he would do. And then I would do it as the actor, as the character. And I think my grandfather, George Miller, and Mel Gibson all were huge influences. And the biggest influence on my life was my mother. She just had this wonderful, never in one time in my life did my mother ever say to me, don't. You can't do that. Stop.
Yeah.
Always go for it.
Go for it.
And I always remember after I finished road warrior, I went, when I was out, I started DJing in clubs. My mother would come to them.
Right.
Because she loved watching me work and she loved the young people and that whole thing. She was very young at heart. My mother was an amazing looking woman. I mean, stunning. And all I would do all night was look out from the dais where I was spinning the records and go, take your hands off my mother. It was just like all night. And I used to say to her, don't come, please don't come. And she loved it because it was just that thing. And I got so much of who I am from her. And I got my ability to portray a character from my grandfather and George Miller and Mel Gibson, because they helped me find that part of me that was always there that I had no clue how to get to. And once they showed me how to get to it, that's what started my whole career. And I always say, if it hadn't been for them, damn them, I would have been a normal person. But that's sort of where it all started. And Road Warrior, it was a terrifying experience, but an amazing, amazing film to do because from that just went on.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Weird Science. How was it working with John Hughes? Because it was a bit of a
I didn't.
legend.
That is one of the funniest little prologues, that film. They rang me to do it. I was actually the producer rang up. He got on to my flatmate in Australia, and he said, "May I speak to Vernon Wells, please?" And he said, "He's not here. He's out." And he said, "Oh, do you know where he is?" And he said, "Not really, but I've got a book here with a lot of phone numbers in it. I'll see if I can find him for you." So he was ringing all my black book, and eventually he got me. And he said, "There's this guy in America who wants to talk to you about a film or something." And I went, "Tell him fuck him," and hung up. And that was how it went for 2 weeks. Again, this is the American thing. He's negotiating. My agent said, "No, he's not. He doesn't want to go to America." And they would go, "All right, we'll pay him this much." And it went on. And finally they said, "We don't want him." I didn't care. I was like, who gives a shit? And then they rang back and they said, "All right, this is our final offer." And my manager agent, wonderful lady, I'd been with her my whole career, never with anyone else, from being a model all the way through
Yeah,
acting. And she said, "I want you to go." And I said, "No, I don't want to go to America." She said, "No, I really do want you to go." She said, "Out of everybody I've ever had in this agency, you're one of the very, very few people I know will become famous. I want you to go. Take what's being handed to you and do it, please." And I went, and she said, "If you don't, I'm going to get my brother to break both your legs and put you on the plane. So it's your choice." So, and I thought, you probably would. So I flew to the States. And while I was in the States, she retired from the business.
right.
And she wouldn't tell me before I left because she knew I wouldn't leave if she said to me that she was retiring.
She was
So I got a
retiring.
notice from her. And it really, right at that moment, it was like betrayal because, we all got that thing. And God damn, she knew this was happening and she did this just to get away from.
Yeah,
And then, as you become a little more intelligent, you go, she was incredibly intelligent about it. If she'd said it at any other time, I would never have gone and never would have gone on. So she also knew what she was doing. And the producer of Weird Science, because everybody in that cast that's still alive and around, we all get together. We love each other. And when we're doing a convention or something and we're all there, they always love to tell the story of how every morning he would walk on the set, pissed about that fucking Australian. Who the fuck does he think he is? Trying to get me, and he just every morning, because he kept offering me more money. I wasn't asking for it. He just kept offering it. He thought that was the way it went. And finally, we agreed. I came. And they used to love it. The kids, they all used to go, "That was the greatest story," because he would come in here and yelling at us and carrying on because of you. And I went, "Oh my God, I didn't realize that. Oh, you're the first person that's ever ground him down." And he never really talked to me after that.
right.
I mean, I worked with him for one other film, but he's never really talked to me after that. I don't think he
Uh,
liked the idea that I got the best of him. But then the ridiculous part of that story is I didn't,
no.
because I didn't do it and I had no clue what I was doing. It was my agent saying he doesn't want to do it. And they'd go, "All right, we'll offer him this much." Bring
And
back, he doesn't want to do it. That kind of thing.
it became one of the most iconic parts of that film as well.
I did it eventually. I went because of the director. I looked him up and I saw that he'd done all these kids shows, the Breakfast Club and
Yeah.
all this stuff. And I went, "Oh my God, this is going to be so much fun," because he's just this really cool dude. And so I went over because of him and had a ball. And he was just so kind to me and just such an amazing man. And I learned what it was like to work with American crews. So much different to Australian. You know, in America, if you touch anything, people go on strike. In Australia, if you
Yeah.
don't touch something, they scream at you. You know, it's one of those things. Um, it's a whole different thing. Like in Australia, it's like, hey, well, grab that light, bring it over here. You know, they don't give a shit. You're the star of the movie. In America, if you put your hand on something, hey, what are you doing? I was just going to move it. Are you in the union? No. Get your like. I couldn't get it. It was like, what the
Yeah.
hell? So it took a while for me to go past that, that I couldn't touch anything, couldn't do anything, you know, had to do this, had to do that. But it was an interesting learning curve of the difference between
Mm.
the two countries in their reaction to things. Because, you know, we're very English. You know what it's like. It's like, yeah, she'll be right.
Yeah.
Yeah, while you stand there, asshole, pick that up, bring it over here. Yeah, they
That's
don't
it.
care who you are. You could be the biggest star in the world. I don't give a shit. Bring it over here.
That's it. Pass it here. Need that.
Yeah,
You there. Give it here.
yeah, and it's the way it should be, actually,
Yeah.
because you know, just because you're the guy who gets second billing or first billing in a movie doesn't make you anybody. It just gives you first billing. So on the set, you're still one of the team, and
Yes.
that's it, you know. But over here, it's a different thing that you know, when you're up there, they tend to put you over here, you know.
Yeah.
You can't associate with all these other people. And
No.
I hate it. I'm the one that goes wandering over to the extras and sits in the extra tent and starts carrying on like an idiot. Because I don't understand it. You know, to me, it's like we're all there doing the same job, for God's sake. So it's, yeah, I can get yelled at occasionally. Even
That,
now.
even still now, at your age, I don't know. And then comes Bennet in the brilliant Commando, and you're fantastic. You do make an incredible villain, and he's not just a generic villain either. Um, and you knew when to chew the scenery and when not to chew the scenery, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah. It was a comic book.
Yeah.
Well, it was just a comic book. We had to chew the scenery. It was just once you get with Arnold, you go, okay, there's only one way to do this, and that's have a whole lot of fun. Because if you start doing it like an actor, you're going to lose him. So we just all did it having a whole lot of fun,
So
and it worked.
how did you end up in Commando then as Bennet?
Who?
How did you end up in Commando?
I got that because that was the producer of Weird Science.
Right.
That was his next film. He actually said to me while we are doing Weird Science, he said, I want you to meet the director of my next film because I think he'd be perfect for the film. And the director said, nope, I got somebody I want. This is a big thing over here, this story. And I said, fine. You know, I still am. If people say to me, you know, I want you to do this film and I do all the stuff. And then they go, you know what? Sorry, we got somebody else we want to have in it. I go, fine,
Yeah.
that's cool. You know, it's no, I'm not going to get pissed off. Why? That's the business. So they were having a problem, and when they got in touch with me, the director didn't want me, and they hired someone else. And it lasted, I believe, 3 weeks into production, and
Right.
they had to get rid of him. And
Oh
then
dear.
I got hired. And the reason, as everybody said, why were you wearing that skin tight costume? Because it belonged to somebody else. They didn't have time to get one that fitted me, for God's sake. It was like they were taking things out while I was getting makeup on. That's how bad it was for the first day. You know, nothing fitted.
Yeah.
And I just went with it from there. I just said, oh, you know what, fuck it, let's have fun. Um, and that was the whole thing. It's funny, over in England, there's this club called the Bennet Club, and it's all
Right.
every year they have on the anniversary of Commando, they have a party for Bennet, and they keep inviting me, and every
All
time
dressed as
they have
Bennet.
the goddamn yeah, every time they invite me, I'm working on a goddamn film. It's like, oh,
Oh.
so I've never been able to get over to it, but they take it more to the realms of ridiculous fun than Americans do. Americans are very like,
Yeah.
well, you know, it's a film, and these characters are like, and you go, oh dear God. And
Yeah.
so there's
No.
that difference. They tend to be a lot more serious about it. Whereas within their own way with what they're doing, whereas English, Australian, Europeans, we're all enjoying ourselves. We're
Exactly.
having
We enjoy.
fun.
We know what the films are, and we enjoy them for that. And you know that end fight scene, the back and forth between you and Arnie, just so iconic, especially with the the Arnie line at the end.
Let off some steam, Bennet.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, yeah,
Um.
and that was hysterical because he was standing on top of a when they threw that thing at me, he was standing on a ladder, and he actually was the one that threw it at me it came down a line and hit me in the chest, and I had a little 6x4 pad, and it hit the
Yeah.
pad, and of course it bruised my whole chest. Arnold Schwarzenegger does not throw lightly.
No.
Um, so it was just kind of fun. Arnie and I had a great relationship all through the film. All we did is take the shit out of each other. It was just like so much fun working with him. And he's just a big, jolly boy. And
Yes.
it was just one of those things. All the other actors in the cast were wonderful. I mean, we had some amazing people, you know,
Oh, it's a
just,
great film.
just really, really great actors. And then, of course, the director was just out of control, whom I know extremely well. And he was just wonderful. So and the producers and that, it was quite funny because I did Inner Space.
Yes.
And when I did the audition for Inner Space, that's Spielberg film. And Spielberg apparently had said to them, bring him in and audition him, talk to him because he may be perfect for the role. I didn't know any of this. So I go in to a meeting I'm actually flying back to Australia. They dropped me off on my way over to the airport. And so I went in, and there's all these people in the waiting room, and I'm looking at them, and I've seen every one of them in either a major television show or a major movie. And I'm going, what the fuck am I doing in here? This is ridiculous. Anyway, my turn comes up, and I go in, and Joe's standing there, and Joe talks to me and asks me different things. He said, you know that Spielberg's producing this? And I went, no. And he said, oh, yeah, Spielberg's producing this. And he wanted us to bring you in and talk to you. And he said, because I hadn't even seen the script. He said, you've got no dialogue in the whole film. And I went, really? Because actors hate
Nothing
learning
to
dialogue.
learn.
Yeah. And he went, yeah, you don't talk at all. It's just you. And I went, I like that idea. And a lot of actors don't, which
Yeah.
really, I go, what the? Anyway, so we do our little thing. And he said, we're seeing other people, but, Stephen likes you and that. And I said, okay, fine. So I said, I'm off to Australia. So I'll be gone. And as I stood up, it was a circular table I was sitting at with a top on it. And I didn't realize the top was not secured to anything.
Right.
It was sitting there. And I leant on it so that I could stand. And as I pushed down, standing, the whole thing came up. And it just kept coming and coming and coming and coming. And I'm like this little plonk on the floor with this table on top of me. And the director looked at me and he went, different way to get a movie. And I just left and went back to Australia. And I got off a plane. My mother and my brother were waiting to take me to the house up country. And this guy standing there with my name. And I thought, some smart ass called Sid, my brother and my mother, are trying to be smart because I'm now this big time actor.
Yeah.
So they got a guy coming with my name on a card. And I walked up and I said, all right, who put you up to this shit? He went, excuse me? I said, I'm Vernon Wells. What do you want? And he said, I have this for you, sir. And I went, oops. So I opened it, and it was a note and my ticket, and it said, you have an hour and a half to go from this one to the next one. So I would say goodbye to your parents, because he knew my parents were meeting me.
Yeah.
As you're walking through. So I got to have a cup of tea with my mum and my brother. And then I went and got on another plane and flew back to America to do all of the makeup. Because everything they had to do, my face, and because when I get shrunk down and all this kind of stuff. And when they were doing the body cast, we were in San Francisco at the what's his name? The director that did the original Star Wars.
George Lucas.
Yeah, George Lucas. We're at Lucas, his production company, because they do all special effects. And then they were putting all this stuff on me, and all I had on was a little thing around my waist. And I'm like, "You're not going to do this on my face, are you?" And they said, "Yeah, your whole body, head, face, everything." And I went, "Seriously?" And I said, "Yeah, and you got to hold your arms out like that." And they did this whole thing. When I had started to hard, they picked me up, took me out into the front office, and put me between two desks, so I was facing the front door. Inside, and all that moved with my eyes. And I was looking at where people would come in and they go, "Oh my God, oh, that statue is so cool." And the eyes moved. I can't say anything because my mouth, and it was just 3 hours. Then they came back and let me go. Took all the stuff off me. It was just, but I thought it was a brilliant thing, actually. It's something I would have done. So I just thought it was brilliant. So yeah, I have fun, and I've been blessed with doing a lot of films.
And again, another cracking villain, and he's very much like a Bond villain with the gun hand and blowtorch, etc., and all that.
Say that again. I'm sorry, I didn't catch
He's
it.
is very much like a Bond villain, you know, with the gun hand and the blowtorch hand and all that
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
thing he
yeah,
has.
yeah. You want to know something funny about that? When they were going to have an Australian as Bond, when they first did it, I
Oh
got
yeah,
flown to England to do a thing with Cubby and his producer director and his daughter. I didn't get it. They went with the other guy, which they should never have done, but they did. And I always wanted to play Bond, and it was like this thing, you know. I always thought I could be a Bond. And about a year ago, I got to play Bond, and it was hysterical. It was a product launch, and they did this whole thing. I played James Bond in a wheelchair. He's old, and they had Blofeld, you know, the one that had the cat.
yeah, yeah.
He was in a wheelchair. He was old, and we used to get together once a week and reminisce on all the battles we'd had and this whole thing, and argue with each other, and it was just the most wonderful little thing. And meanwhile, behind us, we'd be like, "Remember back in Venice, I killed you." And he's like, "What? You killed me? You asshole. You never killed." And that would just go to two guys, our young selves, in Venice on this. But it was what they was demonstrating was this screen behind us
Yeah,
that you could actually work in any country, any setup, the whole thing.
yeah.
And it was like a 20-minute little thing that we did, demo. And I loved it. I played James Bond. Would you believe it's won 5 awards?
That's what you want. That's what you want to hear. Winning
It was
awards.
just, it was just so funny. That was, I guess you know, in there that I lost my house and everything in the fires here in Los Angeles.
Yes, so I believe.
Yeah. Well, I lost all of my I had like 35 awards. Did, don't.
Oh,
Everything went up in smoke, all gone. Um, I had an amazing, my wife got this amazing print of me from Road Warrior. It's the one where I'm on the front of the truck and I'm going, "Go, move, move."
yeah.
And I'm just looking straight down. We actually got it. I got it in England. A guy had got 22 prints made just absolutely stunning. And that's all he was ever doing. And he asked me to sign two of them, and he would give me one. So he gave me one. I signed two for him, and it sat in my wardrobe for like 5 years in a case,
Yeah.
the roller. And I'd forgotten all about it. My wife found it by accident, and she took it and she got it put into this amazing silver metal frame with this black
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
silver background. Just the most stunning, stunning, stunning thing for my birthday. And because my birthday's so close to Christmas. And I just adored it. Gone. The only two photographs that they could find of me when I was a baby, gone.
Oh,
Everything. My wife had been given, because my wife's Japanese American,
right.
and she'd been given 25 kimonos, Japanese kimonos. We're talking the real
Yeah, the
kimono,
real
over
deal.
120 years old,
Mm.
from when she was a little girl up to when she wore them, and her mother, gone. We lost everything. The only thing we
Everything.
got out with was the dog, the turtle, my wife, and the clothes that we were wearing. Her car got burnt. It was
Oh,
just, but you know what? We're both Buddhist. I'm a bad Buddhist, as she says. You're one of those people Buddha looks down and goes, "Please, no, no," you know. And I say, "But I'm trying," and she goes, "That's the point. You're trying." Um, and so she's a Buddhist. So she said to me, I was very Australian and probably like you, very English or Irish or Scottish or whatever. Um, I just flipped out when it happened. And, to me, it was like, give me a gun, I'll shoot
yeah,
something. I was
yeah,
just so mad. And she just sat me down and she went, Vernon, this is Buddha's way of saying you had a house full of shit. And we did, believe me. We had so much from all my films all around the world that you really couldn't live.
no,
Now you don't. Now you have the chance to start again and just have what you need. And it's true. We didn't have a
yeah,
television for 4 months, because we didn't need it.
yeah,
And it's that thing that you suddenly realize that all, and I've just won a couple more awards, which they sent to me, which I'll have, but I'm not going to keep putting things up on walls and things
yeah,
because
yeah,
it clutters. It doesn't mean anything. The point is people like
yeah.
you, they can look at what I've done. They don't have to have shit all over my walls to
We don't.
to let them know who I am. So
That's it.
that was it. And we're happy as clams. We're going
Good.
back and rebuilding hopefully next year. When they finish doing all the crap they're doing over there where the fire was lost.
Yeah,
And this is what I say to people. They say, it doesn't seem to have affected you. It affected me. But the point is, there was 156 people lived on the mountain where we lived, and
yeah,
every house got burnt. We lost two dogs and one person in that fire. And we are
yeah,
so upset that we lost a person and two dogs. We thought we had managed to do the
to
brilliance
get
of get everybody out. She
yeah,
came back. She was older and was starting to. And a lot of the old people didn't want to leave. They just kept saying,
no,
"No, leave me here. Let me go with the." And it was like, "No, we can't do that."
no,
She snuck back in. Was the only casualty, and the two dogs were the woman that owned them. Unfortunately, she couldn't get back, and they were in the house, locked in the house, and it was too late to get anybody to get to them. So that was the one. But then below us, there were 230 houses, and they all went as well. So when people say to me, "Oh my God, you left," yeah, and so did 500 other people
yeah,
in
yeah.
the
Puts it
community
all in
we were in.
perspective.
Yeah, it's like, we were no better off or worse
No,
off. We
with
all lost something. It's now it's funny. This is when you find out what humanity is,
yeah,
how people can stick together, how people can fight for what they want, and all stay together. People that we've never even half the people I didn't know, let alone
no,
because it's that kind of community. Everybody going in there. And now I know everybody that lived in our
yeah,
community because it's a whole different thing. So in its own way, it was a blessing. And in its
Yeah.
own way, it was a very destructive thing that will hopefully never happen again. I mean, we have,
Fingers crossed.
yeah, we have video of our house because at the end of our cul-de-sac was a fireman. He was a lieutenant. He's now
Yeah.
one of their lead. What is it? Tenants or something. Anyway, he's one of the boys now, but he lived at the end of our street, and he got his wife and his 4-year-old kid out, and then he went down to the other end of the street. Our house was the nearest one to the mountain. We're halfway up the mountain, but virtually under the rest of the mountain. And he fought to save our house. And he sent an email, a text to my wife of him he had his helmet on with thing, and he's talking to her, and he's like, I can't save your house. I'm so sorry. He was apologizing to her. And Grace is like, will you get the f out of there? You've got a wife and a 4-year-old child. Who gives a shit about our house? And
that's it.
He went, I don't, but my dog is really pissed. Dog used to come up and play on our balcony. And that's why he said, I've got to save it for the dog, damn it. But of course, they couldn't. Every house went.
No.
But it was terrifying to watch. I mean, I've been through Australian bushfires, but it was the houses are so close together. It was just like watching someone walking along with a torch, setting them all on fire. Sorry?
It looked terrifying.
It was. That's every house, one after the other. And it was taking somewhere like a minute and a half for a house to just go.
Just go.
There was nothing there after that. It was gone. So that was one of those. But I was fortunate. I work in an amazing industry, and people would ring me up after it happened and say, you okay? I'd say, yeah. They'd say, great, because I got a film I need you to do. So people took me away from that into putting me into movies and getting my mind off it. And I've been very fortunate. Some of the films that I've had, the 5 films that I've had since then, and 5 films up to them, were some of the best stuff I've ever done.
Oh, excellent.
I mean, absolutely beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. And it's all coming out. It'll be all coming out towards not towards the end of this year, but into next year.
Yeah. Oh, excellent.
So like 6 more films for you to look at when they come out.
Your career's it's just amazing, the stuff you've done. Before you go, I've got to ask you about the 3 films you did with Stuart Gordon.
You want to know what?
I've got to ask you about the 3 films you did with Stuart Gordon.
Oh, with Joe?
With Stuart Gordon, you've done Fortress, then Space Truckers, and then King of the Ants.
Stuart. Oh, yes. Stuart. Yeah, Stuart's my best friend. Love him. Fortress was interesting. He called me in for an audition, and Grace always called him Uncle Stu because we were part of his family. He just loved me, and we were part of his family. And the first time I met him was he called me in for that film, and it's very physical, as you know from the film.
Yes.
And he said, okay, let's do the audition. And I said, well, I need someone to sort of do it. He said, do it with me. And I went, well, you're the director. And he said, show me what you're going to do. And I went, so I did. And he actually ended up in the office next to the office we were doing that in, because I put him through the wall. And he said, I would put you in the lead. I love you. He said, unfortunately, I can't. But what I'm doing is I'm writing a character for you. That character never existed. And he said, I want you to do that. And I got on so well with, what's his name, the star. We just love being around. Yeah, we just love being around each other. And that final scene where we're fighting on the thing and I get my stomach blown out, it's all done practical, but from there down was a dummy, and I was inside the wall, and the scene was we're fighting, we're doing this thing, the thing says stop or you'll be exterminated, and I sort of go up yours, and it zaps my stomach, and that was supposed to be the end of the scene. I'm just like, ugh. Well, unfortunately, the 2 of us were having way too much fun. And so I just, like I do in the film, I just looked at it, and I looked at him, and I looked at, no, to put my hands through it. I brought my hand out, and I looked at and then I started to slowly pull it. Joe comes over after they say cut, and he goes, it was a minute and a half scene that you two assholes turned into a fucking movie. And he left everything we did in. He just
Oh,
loved it. So,
it's such a great Fortress is such a great film. I've
yep.
always been a fan, and its sequel. Then you done Space Truckers for him, where you got to play Mr. Cut, a space pirate under Charles Dance. Now that must have been brilliant.
Charles Dance. Oh my God, I love him to death. He was my favorite, and we got along like a house on fire because we've both got that same mentality.
Yeah, yeah.
And we shot it in Ireland, which was also amazing. Loved it in Ireland. And I just had so much fun doing that film. And Joe just let me go. He didn't even try to control me. He just said, "This is the character, go," because he knew I would do it my way anyway. And the hair and everything, and the thing down my face, all
Yeah.
me. I went into makeup and I said, Joe Dante said to put it inside my face. And the girl looked at me and she went, "No, he didn't." I said, "Yeah, he did really." And she said, "Liar, but I'll do it for you." So, and she said, "But you have to take the blame." And I went, "No, fine." So she did that. And then she gave me the long at the back. And I think that's what made the character,
Oh,
because it
it's
gave him an identity.
yeah. And
But
it's a
I
great
just
film,
loved it.
and Charles Dance under all that makeup looks like he's having great fun, and you both do actually. You look like you really enjoyed,
Yeah,
lapped up the part.
I've just been so blessed with all these things where these wonderful directors have the faith in me to give me these films to do. I mean, I always look at it. It's like, wow, I'm doing this. Even now, after 300 odd films, every time I get a film, I'm like, this is so cool.
Yeah,
Like when I was working on The Crow, I worked on it for, I think, as I said, for nearly 7 or 8 months, backwards and forwards from Virginia, because it was a band film. So
yeah,
whenever they
yeah.
got money, they shot, that kind of thing. And they hired me to do one day. When the producers saw that one day, they scrapped it, got someone else to do it, and I got hired to play the lead. They were just like, "No, no, 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 he's not doing, no, he is the lead." And so I got the big role. I mean, I didn't get paid for it, but the thing is that I had so much fun doing it.
Yeah.
And we saw it the other night, and it worked so beautifully. I loved it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm blessed.
I
I
mean,
get the most amazing things.
well, the last Stuart Gordon film you done, King of the Ants, which you're
Yes.
superb in that. You're the bad guy who wants to do good, but ends
The
up.
one, yep. As he said to Stuart said to me, the only redeemable character who dies the most vicious death.
Yes,
And
definitely.
I went, what? He said, your character, and I want you to do it, is the only redeemable character. You try so hard to be the good guy.
Yeah, you do.
And then at the end, you get killed in the worst possible way. You get your legs broken, your back broken, and you get put in a house and burnt to death. And I went, really? And he said, yeah. And I went, sounds like fun. But I love, oh God, King of the Ants is one of, if I had to say, if you said to me, what is 3 of your most favorite movies you've ever done? King of the Ants would be one of the 3. I just love
It's
that film.
superb film.
It is just, it is gore to the ultimate,
Mm,
but it's so beautifully done.
yeah,
I
it
mean,
is.
that film is gut wrenching. The opening sequence when we get him to kill that guy and he does it with the refrigerator, that is like mind blowing. Just that scene. And it just goes on from there. You know, when he's getting his head with the golf
Yeah,
club, when
that's
I'm
it.
trying desperately to get him to talk to me, you know, saying, "You're not serious. You're kidding, you're playing, you're acting." And then I have to give up and go, fine, you know. But I always try to give him more padding. I always try to do things for him. And that was his whole thing. No good deed goes unpunished.
Mm.
That was the way Stuart looked at my character. No good deed goes unpunished. And I just, no, that one, yes, very proud of
You,
that film. Very proud to have been in that film.
you're pleased I've brought that one up then?
Sorry?
I says, you're pleased I've brought that one up?
Yeah, it was, yeah, it was just, uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's. I had the guy who wrote the book and the screenplay on my show not so long back, Charlie Higson.
Yes, he's an English gentleman.
Yeah,
Yeah,
comedy writer predominantly.
good guy.
Yeah, very good guy, brilliant. Great chat we had about the film and things like that as well. And
Yeah,
he's
and
just a really nice guy.
oh, please, if you're talking to him, say hello for me. I'd love him to
I
death
will.
For the script. But the funny thing was, it was a short film, like a short script.
Yeah,
King of the Ants. It was not a big book. It was just very, very small. And from that, they developed it. He was involved in writing the script, the whole thing.
yeah.
So
Oh,
from that, they
he's
just, oh,
very
here comes
talented
my
guy.
wife. She's finished teaching.
Well, with that,
You'd
we'll
have to come over here, sweetheart. Wait. She's
with
she says she's not coming on camera. She's all sweaty. I'm thinking
right.
you'd
I
probably
don't
like
blame.
that. Yeah, a gorgeous sweaty woman. Wow, life can't be that
Well,
good.
with your wife turning up, I better let you get on. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on my show. I hope
That's,
you've enjoyed our chat.
I've had so much fun and just been so good. And if you want to talk to me again, please, you have all my information. Get in touch with me.
I will do. Thank you so much for being on the show. I'll say goodbye from me, and it's a very goodbye from Vernon. Thank you so much for being an absolute legend.
Thank you. God bless you all. And I always end everything I do with just saying, may all the blessings of the world be yours, and may everything that you desire come to you, but only in the time it was meant to be. Good.
What an ending. Thank you so much, Vernon. You are an absolute star and a legend, and it's been an honour to chat to you, and we'll keep in touch.
Oh, have you switched off?
No.
Oh, sorry. Just one little thing. You want to hear something really funny before we go?
Go on
I
then.
did a little film, and all I do in it is I play the voice of a dead man. Guess who won Best Supporting Actor?
You did for the voice.
For a voice. I had to tell you that. I thought you'd love
That's
it.
brilliant.
It's
What
so
a cracking
ridiculous.
way to finish the show. That's a brilliant little story. Won
Thank
the
you, my
award.
friend. And please,
Thank you.
anytime, and please, if you are talking to Charles Dance or anybody, please say hi from me.
I
Love
will do.
all of those people.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Vernon. You're a legend.
My pleasure, sir.
Thank you. Catch you later.
Talk to you later, my friend.
And you. Bye now.
Bye.